You're tired. You feel drained, and maybe you don't even know exactly why. It's like you're carrying something heavy on your back all the time, something invisible but very real. You go through your days trying to keep everything together, trying to keep everyone happy. You feel like it's your job to make sure nothing goes wrong. You avoid conflict. You're always polite, always understanding, always the one who lets things slide. That's who you've always tried to be, the good person, the one who does the right thing, the one who believes that kindness comes back around. Since you were young, people told you that if you're good, the world will treat you kindly in return. They told you that if you're fair, honest, and humble, life will reward you. That if you give people your best, they'll respect you. But now, you're starting to see that it's not always true. In fact, a lot of the time, it feels like the opposite is happening. You give, and still, people take you for granted. You show understanding, and they walk all over you. You hold your tongue to avoid problems, but it only builds frustration inside you. You smile when you're sad. You help others even when you're struggling. And the world keeps moving like you don't matter. The truth is harsh, but you're ready to hear it because deep down, you already know it. The world doesn't reward people just because they're nice. It rewards people who are smart about how they live. People who know when to say yes and when to say no. People who don't always try to please everyone. People who are kind, but not at the cost of their dignity. You've tried to be the one everyone can count on. The one who never says the wrong thing, never upsets anyone, never puts their own needs first. You thought that if you did that, people would see how good you are. They would respect you. They would value you. But that's not what happened, is it? What happened was you started to feel invisible, unseen, forgotten, used. You were told that being a good person was enough. But what if that message was only told to keep you quiet? To keep you from asking for too much? To make you easier to control? How many times have you felt like you had to keep quiet just to keep the peace? How many times have you said, "It's okay," when it really wasn't? How often have you accepted less than you deserve just to avoid making others uncomfortable? People told you that being angry was bad, that setting boundaries was rude, that saying no made you selfish. And so, you stopped expressing your real feelings. You pushed down your anger. You said yes when you wanted to say no. You gave more than you had to give. And all of it came from a good place because you believed that doing the right thing would bring you peace. But peace never came. Instead, you felt small, overlooked, misunderstood, like your kindness became a weakness instead of a strength. Here's something important. Real kindness isn't about always pleasing others. Real kindness doesn't mean ignoring yourself. True kindness means treating yourself with the same care and respect you give to others. And if you don't do that, people will treat you like you don't matter. Not because you're not good, but because the world tends to value what is useful, visible, and strong. There's a name you've probably heard, Machiavelli. Many think of him as someone who encouraged lies and manipulation. But the truth is, he simply understood how power works. He looked at the world with clear eyes, without pretending it was something it's not. He knew that being a good person doesn't always lead to a good outcome. That people don't always respond to kindness with kindness. That many respond instead to strength, to confidence, and to clear limits. He said something that shocks many. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. But it doesn't mean being cruel. It means that respect matters. That people won't take you seriously unless they know you have the strength to stand up for yourself. If you are always the one bending, always the one giving in, people stop seeing you as someone important. They see you as someone they can use. Look around. Who gets listened to? Who gets promotions? Who leads? Often, it's not the most generous person. It's the one who knows how to speak up, the one who knows how to say no, the one who isn't afraid to take up space. That doesn't mean they're bad. It means they understand the rules of life. Now, you might think, I'm just trying to be good. Isn't that enough? But you've already seen what happens when you live only to please others. It leaves you exhausted, frustrated, and empty. And what's worse, it leaves you feeling like no one sees the real you. But you weren't born trying to please everyone. That behavior was taught. And more than that, it was trained into you. Since you were a child, people rewarded you when you acted nice and punished you when you showed anger or stood up for yourself. You were told things like, don't be rude, be polite. Good kids don't talk back. You learned that being accepted meant hiding parts of who you are. You had to smile when you didn't want to. You had to stay quiet when something hurt. You had to agree even when you disagreed. And now, that same pattern follows you as an adult. You struggle to say no without feeling guilty. You feel responsible for everyone's feelings. You try to solve problems that aren't yours. You're so used to being the peacekeeper that you don't even realize when it's hurting you. But let's be clear, that's not kindness. That's fear. It's fear of rejection. Fear of being seen as too much. Fear of being unloved. Fear that if you stop being who others want you to be, they'll leave. So you play the role. You act the way people expect. You show only the parts of yourself that feel safe. But in doing that, you lose touch with who you really are. You tell yourself, I'm just empathetic, but really, you're afraid to confront. You say, I understand, but deep down, you're afraid of being alone. You say, I just want to be kind, but you're scared you won't be enough if you show your true self. And that fear costs you everything. It costs you your voice, your power, your self-respect. Over time, the mask becomes your identity, and one day, you look in the mirror and wonder, who am I, really? But it doesn't have to stay that way. You can take the mask off. You can learn to be kind and strong, giving and grounded, compassionate without being walked on. And the first step is understanding that the world sees what you show it. It reacts not to your good intentions, but to the energy and strength you bring. If you seem unsure, people won't take you seriously. If you never speak up, they'll assume you have nothing to say. Machiavelli knew that people respond to presence, not just purity. He said that a leader must be like a fox, clever enough to avoid traps, and like a lion, bold enough to scare off enemies. It's a powerful metaphor. The fox is thoughtful and smart. The lion is fearless and respected. You need both. Because you're not here just to survive. You're here to live fully. To stand tall. To be seen, not just as the nice one, but as someone who matters. Someone who has a voice. Someone who doesn't just help others, but helps themselves too. So stop trying to be perfect for everyone. Stop thinking you have to earn your place by always being kind, always giving, always soft. You don't have to become harsh. You just need to stop disappearing. The world doesn't need more people pleasers. It needs people who are real. People who are awake. People who understand that being good is a choice, not a trap. That kindness without boundaries leads to burnout, not respect. And most of all, the world needs people who know their worth and are no longer afraid to show it. Machiavelli didn't say you have to be just one thing or the other. He didn't say you must only be kind or only be strong. What he really meant is that you should be both. You need to be smart enough to notice when someone is trying to use or manipulate you, and strong enough that people think twice before trying to take advantage of you. If you want people to respect you, you have to understand that the kind of goodness that is often taught by society where you always forgive, stay silent, and never cause problems, is not the kind of virtue Machiavelli was talking about. His idea of virtue is something much more real. It's about having courage, being clever, daring to take action, and knowing when to stay calm even when emotions are high. Sometimes, to protect peace or keep things in order, you have to look like the bad guy. That doesn't mean you're evil. It means you're wise enough to do what must be done. Machiavelli once said that a man who tries to act like a good person all the time will not survive in a world full of people who don't play fair. You know this deep down. Maybe you've already lived through it. You've tried to be kind in every situation. You've tried to do the right thing. But instead of getting kindness in return, you've been hurt, ignored, and treated unfairly. People don't always return the same energy you give them. And if you keep acting like they do, you'll always end up disappointed. This doesn't mean you have to throw away your values. It just means you have to stop using them in ways that harm you. Being a good person shouldn't mean letting others walk all over you. You can still have morals, but you should also have strength. You need to start looking at how people are using your kindness. Are they respecting it, or are they taking advantage of it? Machiavelli wasn't trying to turn people into monsters. He wasn't saying you should be cruel for fun. What he was trying to do was help people survive in a world that can be cruel. He wrote The Prince not as a guide for evil people, but as a way to help people understand how power and influence really work. He saw the world without rose-colored glasses. He knew that people often pretend to be good, but underneath, they are selfish, greedy, or manipulative. He knew that in a world like this, acting like everything is fair will only get you hurt. Now you might be wondering if it's even possible to find balance. Can you stop being naive without becoming cold and heartless? The answer is yes. You don't have to become cruel. You don't have to stop being yourself. But you do have to stop lying to yourself. There's a big misunderstanding that ruins a lot of lives. The belief that being good means being quiet, always forgiving, and accepting everything without complaint. That idea is not kindness. That's being naive. That's being afraid to speak up. And if you live like this, you'll end up feeling like an emotional punching bag. Real kindness doesn't mean you erase yourself. It means you are aware. You choose when to give and when to step back. It means you don't give all your energy to people who wouldn't do the same for you. Being good doesn't mean you're always cheerful and available. It doesn't mean you say yes to everything or put others ahead of yourself all the time. That kind of behavior is actually harmful. It's not morality. It's fear of being disliked. People who are naive think the world is fair. They think if they are kind and honest, others will return that same kindness. But that's not how things work. You end up feeling bitter and disappointed because you're hoping for something that doesn't exist. Real kindness isn't about giving everything away. It's about giving with purpose and knowing who deserves your time and energy. Kind people can also be strong. They can say no. They can leave a bad situation. They don't stay quiet when someone mistreats them. They know that not everyone is worth their best effort. Giving your best to people who don't value it isn't generous, it's wasteful. You can be just and compassionate and still make people respect you. You can have clear limits and still be a good person. Machiavelli understood that kindness without strength is dangerous. He saw that when people are too nice, they get eaten alive in a world that often rewards selfishness and power. He didn't hate goodness, he hated pretending. He hated the lie that being nice would always be enough to win people's respect. So ask yourself this: is your kindness helping you or hurting you? Is it making you stronger, or is it slowly destroying your confidence? If your idea of being good includes staying silent when people treat you badly, always accepting less than you deserve, and blaming yourself for being upset, then you're not being good, you're being controlled. There's a way to change this. You don't have to give up your good heart. You just have to add strength to it. You need to speak up. You need to remember that your opinions and feelings matter. You've been told that saying no or standing up for yourself is selfish. But the truth is, letting others walk over you while you stay silent, that's the real problem. It's not selfish to take care of yourself. It's called self-respect. Start saying no. You don't have to yell. Just say it calmly and firmly. That's enough. When you say no clearly and without guilt, people start to notice that you have boundaries. People respect those who respect themselves. If you don't set limits, others won't either. Also, pay attention to who complains when you stop being so nice. These are the people who benefited from your silence. They're upset not because you've changed for the worse, but because you're no longer making life easy for them. That's a good sign. It means you're growing. You won't be understood by everyone, and that's okay. Some people will say you've changed, and you have. You're no longer pretending to be someone who accepts everything. You don't have to be loyal to the version of yourself that made others comfortable. Be loyal to your truth. Stop chasing acceptance. Start living authentically. When you're true to yourself, you might upset some people, but you'll gain real respect, including your own. That kind of respect is solid. No one can take it away from you. Machiavelli wasn't trying to make you cool. He was trying to open your eyes. He was telling you that being nice isn't enough in a world that often rewards strength over softness. Being nice won't save you, but being kind and strong at the same time, that will. You've spent too long trying to please everyone, trying to be seen as good, trying not to rock the boat. And what did it give you? Tiredness, frustration, resentment. The truth is, no one is going to come and reward you for being a pushover. No one is going to say, "Thank you for always putting yourself last. Now here's the respect you deserve." That's not how life works. If you let people use you, they will. Not because they're evil, but because you allow it. And reality doesn't change just because you have good intentions. You can keep being that overly nice person, always saying yes, always being calm, always being the one who sacrifices. But if you do, get ready for a life where you're constantly overlooked and taken for granted. Or you can change. You can take control. You can decide that your kindness will no longer be your weakness. That you'll choose who gets your time, energy, and love. That you'll no longer give what you don't receive in return. That you'll stop begging to be seen and start seeing yourself. The truth is, the world respects people who respect themselves. You'll only be free when you stop asking for permission to take up space, to speak, to matter. So let me ask you this. When was the last time you said no without apologizing? When did you last put yourself first without guilt? When was the last time you did something just for you without worrying what others would think? If you've had that moment where you realize that being nice was slowly breaking you, you're not alone. Share your story. Let someone else know they're not crazy for feeling this way. This conversation matters. Too many people are stuck in this emotional prison, and your voice could be the thing that sets them free. And if this helped you see things differently, don't stop here. There's more to explore. Your journey back to self-respect is just beginning.